We're on.
All right. Hello, everybody. It is 4 p.m. It is time for Hump Day Hangouts. This is episode number 23, and it is the 8th of April. So we got an almost full semantic mastery house here today. I'm Adam. We got Marco, Hernan, and Bradley's going to get things going. How's it going, guys?
What's up, man?
Not much. Not much. How about you guys? You guys there, or are you just
Hey,
your
Adam.
pictures there?
No,
Hey, how's
we're
it going?
here. Yeah, we're here. We're here. Hey, everybody.
We got almost a full house. We're only missing our developer, Chris. He's in Austria, so he often does not attend at these, but he's our other partner in this semantic mastery business. So, anyways, yeah, guys, as Adam said, it's April 8th, and today we've got a lot to go over. Questions have started coming in already, and I want to make a couple small, brief announcements before we get into questions. Number one is today we raised the price, and we've had a lot of people come jump on the launch pricing in the last few days especially, but at the end of this Hump Day Hangout today, so in an hour from now, the price goes up from 47 to 67 for the IFTTT SEO Academy, which is just the one-time price, and then MasterCLASS goes up $10 a month to $47 per month. And these prices will probably be good for about another month, and then we're going to go to our final price, which we had always assumed we were going to get to anyways, which was $97 for the front-end product and $67 a month for the MasterClass, which is the monthly for the ongoing webinar series. So just wanted to let you guys know if you haven't yet and you want to purchase, get it within the next hour because the price is going to go up, no exceptions. Other than that, well, yeah, pretty much no exceptions. There's one person I talked to in support about something, but anyways, next month again, it'll probably rise again. So if you don't get in now and you want to get in later, that's fine. It's a very small, meager increase in price. All right, so just keep that in mind. I've got a party going on over there.
Having a dance party.
Another announcement I want to make is that we are going to be hosting a special webinar next Thursday. It will be a free event for everybody to attend if they want to. We'll send out an invitation to our list as soon as I get it scheduled, like actually get the events page up. But it's going to be, we're going to have on a special guest Jacob Hagberg of Outsource Ranking and indexbear.com, and he's going to be coming on to talk about some various topics. Such as how to use PBNs properly, passing juice through Web 2.0s, which is right up our alley with what we teach with IFTTT SEO, and also how to get access to their large PBN network that they have for a very, very good price. And he's going to make a special offer at the end of the presentation as well. Obviously there will be an offer, but he's going to make a very special offer at the end of that. And again, that's Jacob Hagberg, the owner of Outsource Ranking, which I have used and can vouch for it, as well as indexbear.com. IndexBear is a relatively new service that they have launched, which they sell PBN domains that they've actually researched and vetted that have TrustFlow 20 plus on the domains. And the PBN domains are $30 each, starting at $30 each, and going down from there depending on volume. So very cool service, and we're going to have him on next Thursday at 4 p.m. So we're going to send out the invitation for that to everybody that attends, all of our regular students and stuff. So you guys, if you want, you can join that next week, and I would encourage you to do so because it's going to be a good event. So with that said, we'll go ahead and get into Q&A. Adam, do you want to take the lead on questions, or should I just do it?
I'll take a look down here. It's loading for me a little slowly today. So, okay, here we go. Daryl says, tired of my PBN-related questions yet, Bradley? Let's see what we got. Holy moly, 24 lines. Okay, I might let you read this one since it's so long, just so you don't get lost here listening. So,
okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
One last one for now. I doubt that, Daryl. It says it's going to piggyback on my last question a bit when I asked about automated content for PBNs. The twist this time is, what about content for the sake of content? In other words, should I be as concerned about content on a PBN site if I'm not linking to a money site? Last week you answered my question specifically addressing a scenario where a post would link to a money site, whereas in this case it's a post that's more to show topical relevance. I'm willing to bet that it would make sense to increase domain authority by having more content, especially syndicated content via IFTTT and all the good stuff that you train us to do. Even though I'm not directly targeting a money domain, I'm still getting high DA links to the domain and spreading links over more pages, which increases DA and ultimately the power of my money site links. Daryl's got a good handle on how to increase domain authority. Very nicely done, Daryl. Could below average spun content put my entire domain at risk in this scenario? Same question for curated syndicated content as well. Is it in your estimation worthwhile to have this automated domain authority stacking, authority stack persisting forever, or would the risk offset the potential rewards? What about the effect of syndicating, say, 10 better than average blog pages, hand-spun, relevant, non-linked to money sites versus persistent below average quality? Well, great questions. I mean, it's a very thorough question, Daryl, and you do have a very good handle apparently on how to increase domain authority. So, again, nicely done. It's a very good question. And the last part of that, and then I'll answer it, is I guess what I'm trying to figure out is whether you tend to see diminished returns for having all of these tiered syndicated links, and whether content quality matters as much when it's content minus links. Yeah, okay, so I personally don't do a lot of 100% automated content for like PBN sites because they do have a tendency to get de-indexed easily if Google determines that they're auto-generated spam, in other words. And I've gotten a lot of my PBNs that had 100% pure automated content de-indexed with the manual spam penalty. I've had that happen many times. So what I do for all my PBNs is I do manual curation. I know we talked about this last week. So if something is going to be posted directly to my money site, and I know that's not what you're asking here, so I'll get to that. But just for clarification and for others that may not have heard the question last week and the answer to that as well, I personally have manually curated content that points links back to my money site. And then if I'm going to be doing automated stuff, then I try to use a good mix of even if it's automated curated content like what we teach, then there's attribution links that point back to the source, and that has a tendency to stick a hell of a lot longer. Okay, I think I would rather use word for word copied content with an attribution link pointing to the source than to use spun garbage, because the spun garbage is just that, it's spam. Okay, but at least if you're curating content and it has topical relevance, and it's not spun, you're attributing the source, then essentially you're doing it in a legal or a white hat way, and you're attributing, you're citing the source where it came from, and you could, even with an automated blog, be providing value, right? So, for example, with a Tier 2 PBN site, which in other words just means a PBN site that I use to link to my Tier 1 links or my Tier 1 properties instead of directly to my money site, adding YouTube videos, for example, I've never had a de-indexed domain that was being used specifically to publish YouTube videos. Even if it was 100% automated and it was just YouTube videos, if I had YouTube videos and the description pulled in from the YouTube video with usually bunches of links in the description that point out to other places, I've had those de-indexed, but never just pure YouTube blogs. So what I try to do, and I know Hernan can chime in on this in just a moment, but what I try to do is use curated content like from different RSS feed sources and YouTube as well, so that at least there's topical relevance in the post, so that it makes sense. It's almost as if you're, curating is actually a very effective and good way to do things, because you're collecting articles or content around a related topic or theme, for that matter, and posting them together, which makes it, that in itself, even though that might be copied content, as long as you're citing the source, which is legal to do, then you're actually adding value because you're combining several pieces or several different content sources. That makes sense. So, Hernan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say that for Tier 1 links or the PBNs that aim to my money sites, I like to have, once, like a couple of months ago, it used to work, those PBN runs where you just blast out 400, 500, or 150 posts to your money site and it will rank. Well, now it's kind of dangerous. So now we're adding like 2 or 3 links, even 5 links per week, to our money sites on your PBN. So that can be easily achieved with curated content.
Yeah, but what he's asking about specifically is on tier 2
right.
PBNs.
Yeah, on tier 2 PBN, yeah, it's fine. As you said, Bradley, we usually combine and splice feeds from authority channels from YouTube that have movement and authority blogs. So you're kind of funneling authority to your PBNs, by a relationship on those authority channels and authority blogs. And also what I like to do is to set up, I think I set up a video over there, over the community, where you have these automated RSS feeds feeding as a blog roll, on a sticky post or on the sidebars, and that will also include, or it will allow an increased reach of your PBN, or at least the spiders visiting it more often. Like the idea here, I also like to add how do you say, playlist, from CNN or money.com or those kind of big playlists, YouTube playlists, and that will allow you to have your blog, your PBNs on your tier 2 blogs with relative and relevant content. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hey, Bradley.
Yeah.
I think that Hernan just made the perfect point. If websites like CNN, Huffington Post, and all these other news sites do this,
the curated content.
Yep. If if press release sites do this, then you're perfectly safe doing it. I mean, right. It's just the way it works. We're in trouble when PR press release websites are in trouble, and that's not likely to happen.
Right, and that's what, Daryl, that's what I'm getting at, to answer your question, is that I would prefer to use curated content that's 100% word for word, identical content that I've just pulled from other sources and properly cited than I would using spun content. Okay, and again, I find that to work just as well, and also using curated content will actually increase trust flow on your own domain, believe it or not, as long as the topical relevance is there. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, I posted a link, Daryl, at the top of the well, it's at the top now. It'll get pushed down shortly. But the blog post that Hernan put out several weeks ago about that is right here. There's a link to that. You can go check that out as well. So as far as granted, having additional pages built will increase DA without a doubt. So more posts equals better DA, as long as there's some sort of inbound links coming in to those as well. Social signals especially, that will help to increase. If you got an IFTTT ring around your PBNs, which you should, by the way, then every time you make a post, it'll syndicate to your IFTTT ring, which will push links back to your PBN and therefore increase the domain authority as well. And if it's that's why I like to use, again, and even in the IFTTT SEO course, where we talk about putting seed content on blogs, which also, guys, we'll talk about this in a second, but some, like WordPress, has been shutting accounts down recently, so we'll talk about that, about how to avoid that. Adam, remind me in a minute when I finish this question to complete that thought.
Sure.
Anyways, when we use...
Sorry to interrupt you, Bradley, but Google loves Google properties. Okay, so as you are syndicating videos out, we use, I think we are using 3 YouTube channels or 2 YouTube channels and 2 other authority RSS feeds or something like that ratio, and it's really hard for them to become the index because you're syndicating out videos, and as long as you're syndicating out videos with the correct RSS feed, the one we provide in the training, or we have provided on open posts and public posts as well, they become really relevant, okay, and they become powerful, even though if they are auto blogs as well.
Yeah, not only that, but again, if you're using high authority, if you're using content that's pulled from high authority blogs, there's typically a lot of traffic and a lot of social signals, a lot of activity, engagement with the posts. So even if you're copying those or republishing them on your own, as long as you're citing the source, some of those that trust flow will flow into your site, believe it or not. And so that's one way to increase it as well. And that's why I always recommend, especially in the IFTTT SEO course, I talk about pulling content from higher, as higher related or as high authority content sources as you can find. Obviously, some niches are going to be more difficult to find that than others, but try to find content in high authority places. So,
All
I
right.
hope that
Now,
answered
what
the
were you
question.
saying about blogs, WordPress blogs?
Okay, that's thank you, Adam, because I just about blew past it. There's been some issues recently with some WordPress sites getting shut down. Tumblr does the same thing. And so, guys, if you're having issues with setting up a WordPress.com site or a Tumblr site and it's getting terminated right away, then just put a post on it without any outbound links on it at all. Usually, I will go copy an article from somewhere, and then, like I said, I'll go to like buzzsumo.com and find an article with a lot of social activity and post it with the attribution link back to the source. But what I found is that recently WordPress and Tumblr have been, most recently WordPress more, has been terminating accounts with any outbound links unless you let the account season for a few days, a week, 7 to 10 days, something like that first. So just keep that in mind. Okay.
All right, so next up, it looks like Brian's talking about the Tier 2 IFTTT networks and how it connects. So I don't know if you want to try maybe doing some drawing here or touching on that.
I'm going to just paste these links. I'll talk about it very briefly, and then I'm going to, because there's been an active discussion now, probably, oops, I didn't mean to do that. Let me pause that for a moment. There's been an active discussion at least 5 times in the last month inside a Facebook group about this exact same question. So, guys, I would also encourage you to go to the Facebook group and use the search function and search sometimes for these questions because they tend to keep coming up. And, Adam, by the way, you might want to mark this. I think we probably already have it in the FAQs. If we do not, we need to make sure that we get this added in the FAQs because we can just direct people to that. But to answer Brian's question briefly, and then I'll share I'll share these links with you, Adam. You can post these in to the group or on the events page. I mean, please add these really quickly. All right, so this is the graphic and then here's a video that I did. It's a 10-minute video, guys, where I addressed this very specifically, explaining tiered networks and how everything connects. And this is just the graphic to go with it, which is referenced in the video itself. But let me just double check the question. Maybe you can touch on this a little. Are you using a whole different Blogger account? Okay, no. So let's go back and look at this. Guys, when you're looking at tiered networks, so let me open up that graphic real quick as well. Let's make sure that we have that up. All right, so if you follow the graphic here, you'll notice that there is no Blogger, Tumblr, or WordPress in this immediate ring right here. And this would be your money site, right? So your money site would be the center of this ring. That's why it says T1, Tier 1, right? So this is your Tier 1 ring here. This being ground zero, either your money site or your YouTube channel, whichever you decide, okay? But you'll notice that the Blogger, the Tumblr, and the WordPress are not in this ring. Why? Because they've been pushed out to here. So this is actually your Tier 1 Blogger account. This is your Tier 1 Tumblr account. This is your Tier 1 WordPress account. All right? So what you do is you set up an entire another IFTTT network with all of the accounts, including Blogger. Now, because of the way that I had just copied this ring, it doesn't show that here. But you would have an entire IFTTT network, just like a Tier 1 network. Guys, think of it this way with the tiered networks. Think of everything as just individual rings. It's just the way that you assemble the rings. That's how you make a tiered structure. If you look at everything as individual rings, it's going to make the concept so much easier to understand. Okay? Don't look at this as an entire structure. Just look at it as 4 separate rings. The difference is that you're going to take this ring over here, and you're going to use the Blogger from Tier 1 as the trigger. In other words, and you're going to use the RSS2 recipes, just the same recipes that you use if you're syndicating blog content from your Tier 1 network, if that makes sense. Okay, guys? So all you do is you take the Blogger RSS feed URL, and you use that as the trigger to trigger all of these accounts here. Does that make sense? Trigger all the recipes. Same thing with Tumblr. So if we go back over here and we take a look at this, the trigger recipes, money site RSS to Blogger, right? That's going to be your standard recipe for your blog account, just like money site RSS to Tumblr, money site RSS to WordPress. That's showing your money site RSS feed right here, feeding Blogger, or feeding Tumblr, or feeding WordPress. Then from there, you're going to add content source. Your action recipes would be, this is tier 2, guys. Over here is tier 2. Your action recipes would be blogger RSS feeding. You just take the same RSS recipes, but you would use your blogger RSS feed URL as the trigger. Instead of your money site RSS feed being the trigger, now your blogger RSS feed is the trigger, right? Which is going to feed, it's going to push content out from your blogger to these accounts here. Then you do the same thing here. You take the Tumblr RSS feed URL and you use that as the trigger for this network. You take the WordPress RSS feed URL and use that as the trigger for this network. And then when you want to add in additional content sources, which you don't need to do if you're doing this for YouTube, but if you're doing it for blog syndication, then you're going to want to add additional content sources. This is touching on what we just talked about with Daryl Dresser. But if that's the case, then you're going to add additional content sources right here. Right here, you're going to add another trigger recipe. So remember, you're going to have, like, if you're your tier 1 network, you only have one trigger recipe, which is going to be your content from your main money site, pushing your RSS feed. So every time it detects a new item in your RSS feed, it's going to push content to tier 2, right? So it's one trigger recipe. But out here, if you're using this for blog syndication, you're going to want to add in additional content sources right here. So in other words, you're going to have one trigger recipe, which is going to use your blogger RSS feed to push content out. But now you want to add in additional content sources, which is where I would talk about content source number 1. It could be a YouTube feed. It could be like a Huffington Post feed, for that matter. It could be, a Bob Vila if it's a home improvement blog feed. It could be whatever it is that you're using to also push content to this network so that it's not always just content from here. That's what you would do. You would just set up additional trigger recipes. Your action recipes only need to be set up one time. Your action recipes are, we're going to take content from the blogger RSS feed and we're going to republish it out on this network, right? So it would be like blogger RSS to Twitter, blogger RSS, and it's just the RSS2 recipes, the same one that are in your workbooks, guys. Nothing changes, okay? The only thing that changes is the RSS feed that you use to trigger that recipe, okay? Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Good deal. Yeah, and that's been, like Bradley said, if you got some more questions about it, hop in the Facebook community and do a little looking, or at least ask there, because there's a couple people who have asked it in different forums. There's people asking different questions, but you can find an answer there.
Yeah, and there was a great big thread that I think it was Matt Fisher, maybe. I don't remember. Somebody, just a few days ago, if you scroll back, you'll see there was a big, long thread about it where there was one of the students that created his own graphic off of this one, where he tried to, make it more easier for him to understand. I don't know if it'll help you, but you'll see it. It's got a big thumbnail image like this, but with some edits. Okay, take a look at that.
All right, so next up, Jonty's got a question. So he's saying, if I was to have different sites, each with their own web address, so I'm assuming here kind of self-hosted sites maybe or something like that, and their own networks around them, can I then take these and link them all together into one much bigger network? All sites, 4 or 5 of them, are in the same niche, or would it be better to keep them completely separate with their own individual networks?
Let's see. If I was to have different sites with each with their own web address and own networks, can I then link these all having one? Can I then link these all having one much bigger network? No, I wouldn't. Not with self-hosted stuff. With Web 2s, I would say sure, but if you're doing self-hosted stuff, I wouldn't. I wouldn't link them all together. I would keep them separate, and then out at Tier 2, you can do that. But again, so let's just use this graphic again. If you're talking about starting with multiple self-hosted WordPress sites, like let's say you had 4 of them, would you want to link all those, interlink all those together? No, I would never do that. I would keep each self-hosted WordPress site independent on its own. Then you could use a shared Tier 2 network where you could be linking. You could link those. I personally wouldn't link from like this blogger over to this Tumblr. Like I wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. I haven't tested that, but I personally wouldn't do it. Honestly.
Right.
I
think that it all depends on the theme of the websites.
Yeah,
it will depend if they are related, if they are on the same niche. If they are on the same niche, well, you can try and go for a Tier 2 network or a big, related network where you can theme those links, but they have to be somehow related. If you're going after different niches and even different countries or different, audiences. Just have in mind, Jonty, that IFTTT networks, they do not only bring backlinks and authority, they also bring traffic, and you will see that on analytics. So if you get found from different niches, probably your conversion rates on the funnel will be, will be affected by this. So as long as they are themed for tier 2, that would be fine. But for tier 1, I would say what Bradley is suggesting, that each site has its own individual IFTTT network, just in case something goes wrong and you need to pull the plug on anything. That's the way to go.
Yeah, because the problem, and he's saying if they're all in the same niche, and so yeah, even in the same theme, I wouldn't put your tier 1 sites at risk. Okay, by linking them together. Right. Tier 2, if they're all in the same theme or the same niche, then yeah, essentially you could do that. I haven't tested that personally because I keep each ring, again, just like what I said a moment ago, guys. I keep all my rings as individual rings. It's just the way that I connect them that makes my tiered structures, and I don't connect like this one to this one. It's always connected to the tier 1 property. Does that make sense? But yeah, the problem with if you interconnect tier 1 properties or ground zero sites, your money sites, then if one of them is to get penalized, you're opening yourself up for the rest of them to also suffer the same penalty. You know what I'm saying? So I would advise against that. So hopefully that clears that question up.
Cool. Okay, well, the next question looks like Sergey, and he is asking about Hangouts versus Wirecast. He wants to know which option should he use for better rankings when uploading to YouTube.
Okay, Wirecast will give you ability to optimize your file or your stream before you stream it, where Hangouts will not. So Hangouts on air, you can optimize the title, and you can put a description which will essentially become the YouTube description, which can be edited later. But you can't add tags, you can't add geotags. So there's several things that you can't do with a Hangout on air. Plus, Hangouts on air don't have the definition. They don't have the high definition like YouTube Live does. Especially with audio, it's got a much poorer audio quality. So personally, for quality purposes, well, I do everything through YouTube Live now, pretty much, except for when I'm doing like a quick Hangout on air. But for the most part, when I'm trying purely for ranking purposes and also for the quality of the outputted video, a YouTube Live event is going to do better. Okay. So, and I like that because something else that I really like about using YouTube Live, guys, is you can schedule, and we talk about this in the MasterClass. As a matter of fact, we went over this. Was it last week? It was probably last week that we went over this. But with YouTube Live, guys, you can schedule the live event way in advance and actually syndicate it through your IFTTT networks before you actually hit the broadcast button. And what's great about that is you'll have the embed code and backlinks to the actual YouTube URL all over the damn place. So if you've got a big network, let's say you've got 150 properties, because remember, a 2-tier network, guys, is 88 properties on average. Roughly, it's 88 properties, right? Backlinks and or embeds. Okay, so if you have if you had two 2-tier networks together, you're looking at what, 176 properties that you'd be syndicating to. So if you were to have two 2-tiered networks stacked on one YouTube channel, and you scheduled a YouTube Live event, a week ahead of time, it would give your video an embed code and backlink to the video, the chance to propagate across the entire network, all those properties, and it'd be sitting out there with the code just waiting for the broadcast. And I've had really, really, really good results with that, where you do that ahead of time, and then when you actually hit the broadcast button, you start the broadcast, that I've had it rank in like minutes, like no kidding, on first page.
Yep.
Okay. So if you're trying to do launch jacking and stuff, that's a great strategy. Is set up your YouTube Live event, push it out, build backlinks to the places that it's sitting. Like we talk about always building FCS networker and GSA links to our networks, anyways. So if you're boosting the pages or the posts that that embed code's sitting on, then when you actually hit the broadcast button, it's going to rank a lot faster, a lot better. Okay.
Cool. Alrighty. Next is Daryl saying, for a money site silo with, for example, 4 categories and 5 posts deep under each silo, how do I structure a blog to regularly post to it? Do the posts support the existing structure of other posts in the silos or a completely separate structure, e.g. subdomain with all recent posts on a roll on homepage?
No, if you've already got the site siloed out, unless you have a reason for putting the blog on a subdomain, you can absolutely support the siloed structure with a blog. In fact, that's the way that we typically do it. So, for example, if you're using a simple silo structure, you're just going to accomplish that with categories and posts, right? And you're going to have a page matching your top-level category, and that's therefore the top of your silo landing page or your silo heading, right? They're the one and the same, different terms, but same thing. So, for example, if you have, let's see if we can draw this out very briefly, guys. I'm going to do a 1280 by 720 in just a second, and we'll get this good enough. Oh, damn it. Let me try that again. We're going to try to draw this out to where this makes sense. It's a great question, but canvas white. Okay, so this is your home page. Then you're going to have 4 top-level silo pages, right? Well, I'll just draw these 4 out, but I'm only going to draw 1 silo deep. Okay. Now, if you have 5 supporting articles per silo, let's just say 4, so you got a total of 5 articles, right? Your silo landing page and your 4 supporting articles. Typically, in a simple silo structure, this is going to be a page. That's huge. Let me drop that down a little bit. Okay, this is going to be a page, but it's also going to be a category, right? This is in a simple silo structure. It's going to be a page and also a category. So essentially what you'll do is you'll create the top-level page, the top-level silo page, and then you go into posts, categories in WordPress, and then you set the category, and it's going to share the same slug as the page, right? So it'll have the same permalink, the same slug. Okay, and then from there, let's flatten that. Then from there, and that would be the same for all four of these. And this, again, this is a simple silo structure. Complex silo structure, that's more in depth. We're not going to get into that right now. But from there, you would have, you would be linking out from your silo landing page to each of your sub pages or your supporting articles, right? And then essentially you'd want to link from your supporting articles back up to your silo landing page. And if it made sense within your supporting articles to link to each other, what I call a lateral link, then you could certainly do that as well, but that's not necessary. Okay, but what you're talking about here is these would each be posts, right? They should be. In a simple silo structure, these should each be posts. They wouldn't be pages, right? So hopefully I'm hoping I'm understanding his question, but what I would do at this point is if you set up a blog, all you're going to do is every single time you make a post on your blog, you're just going to select whichever category that post best fits into, and it would become an additional supporting article for that silo. That's it. It's as simple as that. If you were to put a subdomain, like a blog on a subdomain for whatever reason, and there are times where that makes sense, like e-commerce sites and things like that. Or if you're dealing with a client site that is potentially, an older site, or it was a poor setup, a poor structure to begin with, and they're not willing to pay to, for example, if a client site has a bunch of content on it already, and they're not willing to pay to have you go in and update the site and silo everything, which could be very costly, then you could go in and do what's called, like a bolt-on silo. That's a term that Network Empire uses, but a bolt-on silo would be like adding a subdomain and then putting a blog on that and setting up your blog with silo structure and then using internal linking from your blog up to the root domain where the money site sits to improve the SEO of the site. That makes sense. But I mean, yeah, as far as the question goes, I mean, hopefully that makes sense, guys. If you're doing that, just create, if you have a blog already and you've got categories and silos set up, these should be posts anyways in a simple silo structure. You just add additional posts into that category. Okay, if you've done this all in pages, by the way, if you have, if instead, and this might be where this might be what he's done, but if this is like, for example, a parent page and these are child pages, that's okay. Just go match the category, And then any supporting articles that you want to add from that point forward, make them as posts and nest them underneath that category. And it will accomplish the same thing. I wouldn't go change them from pages to posts, but you can accomplish it moving forward, if that makes sense.
Cool.
All
right. Michelle's got a question. This is interesting, Bradley. If you want to try clicking on this link, I pulled it up. She's saying she went to Wirecast today following the link in Facebook, and it says that Wirecast for YouTube is temporarily unavailable. Is this correct? Which I had not heard of, but it looks, when you click on that, that's what's going on.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, I haven't seen it either. So, but they say right here that it will be available again soon. So, something
else I posted in there, guys, a minute ago was a link for YouTube Commando. Anyways, I like it. It's a good product. I bought it. I use it. So that's another option you can use.
Yep. Okay. I can see one from Monique. I'll go ahead and read this because it's longer. Do you create YouTube playlists out of other people's videos as well? Yeah, you can, Monique. You absolutely can. In fact, you could actually. There's some ways to hijack. There's ways to get your video to show. Like, I'm not going to open up our analytics right now, our YouTube analytics, but it's amazing how much traffic you can get by showing up in the related video section on the right side of the YouTube watch page. And so, if you actually take videos from other people that are very, very popular, ton of views that rank high in YouTube, and then nest your videos in a playlist alongside them, as long as they're topically relevant, then your videos will start to show up in the related videos section on the right side of the screen on the YouTube watch page. So it's kind of like guilty by association. So that's one way that you can actually hijack traffic from other people's videos by just creating a playlist and using their videos as well as your own, with your own video. And it's a way to get some siphon traffic off of those other videos. It's pretty interesting how you can do that. Do you mesh your own videos with other people's videos in YouTube playlists? Yes, I do. What about creating playlists that start, but usually not for like local stuff. Usually I just do that for like like our SEO videos and things like that, which we get a lot of traffic from that related video search. We get a lot of traffic from that. What about creating playlists to start with a video from yourself to introduce the playlist and then go on to queue up other people's videos after that to make more topic like a curator? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, that's very, very powerful for on-page SEO for websites if you're to do that. And we're actually talking about a masterclass today. The first part of the presentation is going to be about embedding playlists, okay, into the money sites and how to embed those and to just squeeze a ton of SEO juice out of playlists and push it onto your money site. We're going to talk about that specifically in masterclass today, okay? But yeah, you can certainly do that. Good idea, by the way.
All right, it looks like the next one, she's got some more. I think I'll let you do this too. It's kind of several points here.
How much content actually has to be on a site for it to rank well with SEO? It varies, Monique. Do 1 to 5 page sites rank just as well as 100-page sites? No, it depends on the topic or the content. Like, what is the industry standard for whatever niche you're targeting? You know what I mean? Like, I've noticed, for like local business type stuff, if you're going after niches that aren't typically content-heavy niches, then you can get away with a hell of a lot less. But if you're going after something that is content-heavy, you want to match and exceed that. And I've also found that if you're going after a content-thin, which would typically be content-thin niche, and you have a site that has more content, it will rank better. Thanks to the Panda stuff, more content usually equals better. Okay?
Yeah, and more keywords as well.
Yeah.
Because she keeps saying that she has witnessed a top result for some people, which seems a little more than category tags, ads, and just a bit of writing. Well, it depends on which keywords you're trying to rank for. Usually, if you go for 100+ page sites, you will rank for a myriad of keywords, and your visibility will be much higher than just thin content site that may rank for a couple of keywords, maybe big traffic keywords. But that's pretty much it. Mm-hmm. And you want to benefit from as much traffic as possible and as many keywords as possible. And that's why what Bradley was saying, the more content that you have, the better, because you'll get exposure. It's all about exposure and visibility right now.
Not only that, but guys, one of the things. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Marco. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that she might be seeing is also what we speak about a lot in our mastermind class. I'm not going to get into it too deep, but it's manipulating trust flow and domain authority over just content. So she may be seeing so along with keywords and the context in which she's looking at it, she also could be looking at some manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah, a rather advanced SEO can squeeze a hell of a lot of juice into a very thin site and make it do some amazing things. And that's, kind of some of the stuff we talk about in the mastermind. But is also one other thing that I want to mention about this, and thank you for that, Marco. One of the other things I want to mention about this, guys, is that if you should be connecting your sites to Google Webmaster Tools. Even if it's a client site, connect it through their Google account, then add yourself as a manager or a user within Google Webmaster Tools so you can access Webmaster Tools through your own account, which is perfectly legit or legal. It's fine to do that. In fact, if you have if you're doing other stuff where PBNs and things like that, I still recommend connecting everything to Webmaster Tools and Analytics. And I have debates about this with other people all the time. I'm telling you what I do. I like to connect everything to tools like Webmaster Tools, and here's why. The reason I say that. If you're using personas and stuff, by the way, you've got pretty much unlimited Google accounts, right? So there's no reason. I just wouldn't connect a whole bunch of sites underneath your own main account. But you can add your sites to Google Tools, Webmaster Tools, as well as Analytics through persona accounts, and then add yourself, personally, your account as a manager. And that's perfectly legit to do as well, right? So anyways, the reason why I'm talking about this is because with Google Webmaster Tools, guys, if you go over and you look at search queries in Google Webmaster Tools, it will reveal to you. Now, remember, everybody, Google Analytics stopped giving us keyword data. What, 2-3 years ago now? It stopped giving us keyword data. But Google Webmaster Tools gives us keyword data. What used to be in Analytics is now in Webmaster Tools. And so what's interesting to kind of to complete this question, Monique, is that if you have more content on a site, where you have the ability to have more keyword phrases, co-occurring, semantic relationships, that sort of thing, you'll notice that your site will be given impressions. If you check search queries in Google Webmaster Tools, you'll see a huge increase in impressions, and then you can actually identify places that pages on your site that are ranking or at least showing up in the search results. It could be on page 5 or 10, it doesn't matter, but you'll see keyword phrases that you may have never thought about that Google Webmaster Tools will show you, and the only way that they will even show you is if somebody actually searched for that particular query, if that makes sense. So by using Google Webmaster Tools, you can identify pockets of traffic and keywords that you may not have thought to have optimized for, and give yourself opportunities to optimize for those once identified, and start pulling in traffic from other areas that you may not have known about to begin with. Okay. From your testing, have you found that images or videos are pulling in better search engine rankings when applying SEO optimization? If there were one focus, would it be to publish more optimized images or optimized videos? Both. I've found that more content is better and more images are better. Like if you have like a 1,500 word article on a page and you have 6 images, as long as you don't over optimize the images by hammering away at the same keyword and the alt text and everything, you should be. I've seen those pages rank way better. If that makes sense. Videos, typically I'll just put 1 or 2 videos on a page depending on what it is. Okay.
Would you lean towards images or videos or both, or
both?
Yeah.
Both. Multimedia content will tend to outrank content with less multimedia, so that includes images and videos both. It gives you a better ranking better chance to rank if you have both images and video on a page.
Sure. Yeah, so I would just say for you, Monique, that if you can include both. I realize some areas it may be difficult, but if you can, do that.
Yep.
Let's see. Coming up here to Steve, I answered this in text, but Steve was asking, would a tool like Kudani work good for curating content? We've talked about this before, but I think that's probably going to be something we dive into more deeply, is going to be content curation soon. But sure, Kudani works. There's a lot of tools out there. Most of them you can get a free trial, and I just say check them out. It depends what you need to do.
Specifically, Steve, we are going to do a content curation course because I do a ton of that stuff. So, and I've trained VAs to do that for me now. So, we're going to do a course on that content curation. Kudani is okay. I've bought that for my team as well, But it's funny is most of my team, we've tried just about every curation software under the sun, and I mean that is no joke. And to be honest with you, a lot of my curators, they still like to do manual curation, and they just set up like Feedly, for example, and they'll just pull all their RSS feeds into Feedly, and they'll just go in and scan the headlines, open up the article when something catches their eye, and copy it. Now, all that Kudani does is put everything in one dashboard. But again, even through my teams that have tried all these different, most of them still like to just do the manual method, because there's always some sort of bug issues that happen with Kudani or WPRSS Curator, which is a Peter Garrity plugin that we do like quite a bit. So
yeah, and their layout is kind of funky.
Right.
I mean, I know every time we talk about it, I hold up the banner chanting Curation Suite, but I've had a very good time with it, so I suggest checking it out.
So we'll talk about that more in an upcoming. And Steve is a mastermind member, so we're going to talk about that. You guys will be getting the curation course anyway, Steve, for no cost because you're a mastermind member. But when we release the product, everybody else, that'll be a separate course. But Steve, you'll get that included with mastermind. So.
All right, let's see. Moving up here, Mike is asking if Tier 1 are branded sites, are Tier 2 networks persona sites?
Yes.
Cool.
Next question.
Easy does it.
very
Didn't
easy.
even have time to write that one down. All right, so moving on, Jonty says, thank you. All right, we're going up, and who do we got next? I think Ken. He's asking, what program are you using when you were doing the silo diagram?
That's SNAGIT.
Cool.
SNAGIT. I absolutely love SNAGIT. This is like what I am not a graphics person at all. Obviously, you can tell. But I do pretty much, well, I use SNAGIT for everything, like for screen capture, and now for screen capture images and also screen capture video. All of the training videos that I do, guys, are done with SNAGIT. But I can tell you, I'm not a graphics person. I hate doing graphic stuff. But I've recently, because of the Lead Gadget stuff, I've been recently working with the Laughing Bird software, Mark Sylvester's Laughing Bird software for like the logo creator, and he's got like a whole suite of tools now and all these add-on packs. And it is drop dead simple to use. And even me, I can do some pretty cool graphics with it. And I absolutely love that. So there's a total pitch for Mark Sylvester and Laughing Bird software for graphic stuff because it's awesome. But as far as like screen capture stuff and like just doodle drawing like what this is, I always just use SNAGIT.
Cool. All right, well, it looks like we've come to the end, so since we're just a few minutes early, I'll just call last call. If anybody's got any questions now, if you can get it in the next 30 seconds. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so we'll hold on a minute. I don't know, Bradley, did you have any last-minute announcements, or do we have anything else we want to cover?
No, I'll just, since we have the opportunity, let's and I'll give him a pitch because he's an awesome dude. The logo creator, right here, the logocreator.com, guys. That's Laughing Bird software, and again, I just started playing with it recently. I hate doing graphics, but this is a really, really cool program, so I want to pitch this for Mark because this is a great program to use for creating graphics. Typically, I always just go to Fiverr and hire this stuff out, but recently I've been doing building a lot of sites where I need a banner or a header very quickly, and I don't want to have to wait a week for Fiverr to return them, so I'll just go in and create something myself. It's very convenient. And I've tried a ton of other it's funny because I actually bought the logo creator like, I don't know, 4 years ago as a WSO, and it was like I think I opened it up and tried to use it for like 30 seconds and then said, screw that, I'm going to Fiverr. And it wasn't only about a few weeks ago that I met Mark and I got access to this and I started using it and I realized that all this time I could have been using this. It was really, really cool. So. Okay.
Sorry, Bradley. I wanted to say something quick. I remember Monique left a comment on a YouTube video about, I think it was redirect from the public YouTube channel, and I wanted to clarify that because she was saying that you need to hire hosting package, to have the redirection done in Namecheap, and that's done through host records, Monique. So you don't need to hire anything else but buying the domain. That's true with GoDaddy as well. If you go to GoDaddy and change the host records, okay, to make a 301 redirect, that will be enough. Okay. If you have any doubts or something, just leave a comment below the video. I try to answer you, but now that I have you here, it's probably easier that way. Just a
Yeah.
quick heads up.
Yeah, you don't need it for 301 redirects. You can do them at the registrar level, right? I usually do a lot of 301 redirect stuff at the HT access level, which will require a server. Yes, you need to have a hosting account, or if you're doing like a simple 301 redirect from inside WordPress using like the WordPress plugin, which is it's just as the name implies, simple 301 redirects. That you obviously would need a hosting account for that as well. But as as Hernan just said, Monique. You can do 301 redirect from the registrar level, and you can do that within GoDaddy and Namecheap, and probably most registrars will have that option somewhere. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Well, we wrapped it up with no more questions came in, so I think we're good to go. We're going to get ready for our 5th master class here. It starts at 5 o'clock.
10 minutes. By the way, you guys got about 10 minutes to get in before the price rises on that. Otherwise, it's not going up much, and you'll still have access to it later. But seriously, if you get it in now, because in 10 minutes, Hernan's changing the graphic on the sales page, and it's going up. So, just so you know. And Louis, can you explain Tier 2 networks? No, not again, man. Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks everybody for being here. We'll see you guys next week. Also, remember, don't forget next Thursday. I'll send out the invitations as soon as I get the events page set up. Probably today or tomorrow. But for next Thursday, we're going to have a special event, 4 o'clock p.m. With Jacob Hagberg of Outsource Ranking and IndexBear.com. I wouldn't miss that, guys, because he's going to give out a ton of really good content. He runs several large PBNs, and so getting knowledge from somebody like that runs a real business specifically around PBNs is going to be really, really good training. And he's going to make a special offer as well for anybody that wants to jump on board with his service. So make sure that you attend that next week. Okay. Thanks, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
We'll see you all next Wednesday.
Hey, Adam,
MasterCLASS, by the way, in 5 minutes, guys. What?
Yeah. Are we still live?
Yeah,
Yep.
we're still live. I didn't know if you had something to say to the crowd. Or... All right, I'm ending broadcast now.